Let's do some football. And we're joined now by Will Brinson, CBS Sports NFL writer. Will's with us quite a bit here on Tiki and Tierney. Will, what's happening, buddy? How's the summer treating you?
What's up, guys? It's doing pretty well. I got 3 kids hanging out at my house. There's a bouncy house, inflatable bouncy house outside, a kiddie pool, and yet they're still all fighting. They're still all fighting over one Thomas the Train pushable engine.
Of course, that's how it works with kids. Yeah. But those bouncy houses are awesome. We have one as well.
How big are they?
They're not huge, but they're big to kids.
That sounds fun.
And they're kind of.
I mean, the one I got from my step-sister-in-law, but I can legitimately get in there and bounce myself.
Oh, yours is then big. I can't get in mine. Mine deflates when I get into it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't.
Well, because Brady pumped it up.
Yeah, I got mine from Tom Brady Enterprises. You know, Will, I'm looking at the off-season spending of teams, and this is kind of contrary to some of the things that are going on, but it just popped into my mind how much money the Eagles spent this offseason on extensions. $333 million for, I think it was 9 guys that they extended. So they're staying in-house with obviously the new regime, or I guess it's kind of the throwback regime, which was only a couple years removed for Chip Kelly. What is their thinking with all of this money that they're throwing in a total, including the draft and free agency, of $550-something million in spending going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at it, and you listen to what Howie Roseman has said, and a lot of the goal, I think, for the Eagles has been, and I think, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, I think he spent the whole his whole offseason has been, just raising this giant flag with a big middle finger on it, pointing towards San Francisco and Chip Kelly, because he trades DeMarco Murray, he trades Byron Maxwell. He signs a bunch of guys that were in-house, even if they were, Lane Johnson, a first draft pick when Chip Kelly took over, signed all these guys, and then it's we'd like to lock down our in-house guys. Now, I think, in terms of the spending, it makes sense. You want to lock down these younger guys to deals that ensure that they stick around. I mean, Fletcher Cox, Lane Johnson, Zach Ertz, big-time talent. Ertz had a great run down the stretch last year. And I think, it's a good move to do that sort of thing. The question is, how does it, is it cohesive with the strategy of throwing million-dollar darts at the quarterback board and hoping that it pans out? I mean, they've paid Sam Bradford a lot of money to be a bridge quarterback. They paid Chase Daniel a lot of money to be a backup quarterback. And then they spent a ton in draft capital to move up and grab Carson Wentz. And I think the problem you run into is, good job, good effort on all these signings, but it doesn't matter if the quarterback position isn't solidified. And so I think it sets interesting expectations for 2016. You have 2 quarterbacks who theoretically can, make your team good off the bat. They're planning to sit Wentz, and then they spend all this money on these in-house guys. But if it doesn't work out right away, it looks, about as smart as Chip Kelly's previous offseason plan.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting take. And, Will, as you talk about the bouncy ball or the thing outside with the kids, pretty soon that's going to be gone, at least, in terms of you seeing it every day, I would imagine. You're going to be jumping around from camp to camp and pumping out stories. Broad snapshot for us here, Will. There's probably 2 or 3 stories that are forefront on your mind. What is the most interesting one to you right now entering camp?
Well, just in terms of the whole, the whole NFL, I think you got to, you look around at the quarterbacks. I think this Kirk Cousins stuff is fascinating to see how it plays out because, he's starting. He's the quarterback, but he's betting on himself. No deal got done between he and the Redskins. You hear reports, I think, Mike Garafolo of NFL Network Now had reported that they never got higher than $16 million, and you've heard that in other places too. And Jason Lockenfort's got a good breakdown of that on CBS. But I think, you look at that Cousins situation, and I love seeing quarterbacks bet on themselves. The last guy we saw do it was Joe Flacco, willing to say, look, I'm not going to take less than this. I'm going to play out my contract, and if I win the Super Bowl, you're going to owe me big, and they owe him big. And I don't think Kirk Cousins doesn't have to win the Super Bowl, and I don't think anybody expects him to. But he comes back and has a similar year, and he looks good, entering this season where he's got tons of weapons. The Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon, Josh Doxson they added, Jordan Reed they paid, and then Jamison Crowder I think is underrated. If he has a big year, the Skins are going to have to outlay a ton of cash for him. And of course, in New England you have a situation where Jimmy Garoppolo is now, going to be starting the first 4 games of the year, and how does that affect the Patriots' preparation? What does it mean if he looks really good? Not that Tom Brady's going to lose his job, but if he looks really good, can the Patriots swing this guy in a deal and pick up some capital for him before he hits free agency? They just drafted Jacoby Brissett. I think there's a lot of AFC East impact in terms of how Garoppolo looks in the preseason and the training camp.
Well, Will, it's interesting because you kind of lead me into this here. The first month of the season, we know that the Pats open up against the Cardinals, who are as talented as anybody. That's in Arizona. You're playing the Texans during that span without Brady. You're playing the Bills, who are talented, although a bit underachieving. Same with Miami. With Garoppolo in charge for the first month, I mean, and the depth chart being what it is, I mean, is there a chance maybe not Ryan Fitzpatrick, but is there a veteran out there that they bring in solely for the first month and just in case Garoppolo implodes?
I don't think so. Just because of if you look at the Patriots' history, I mean, nobody's as efficient and ruthless in terms of cap space usage and roster space usage as the Patriots. I wouldn't expect that they're going to, they understand that they can. I think they look at this schedule, and certainly the Patriots aren't conceding week 1 in Arizona. The Cardinals aren't going to have a lot of film on Jimmy Garoppolo. The Patriots can do some stuff, to maybe counter, utilize that in their favor. But I mean, I don't think that 3-1 with 3 home games and a knowledge of, you talk about these guys that he's going up against. I mean, Adam Gase, a first-year coach, but Bill Belichick's seen plenty of times. Bill O'Brien was was his old quarterbacks coach, and then of course Rex Ryan, he has a lot of familiarity with. I mean, it's not insane for the Patriots to go 3-1 even after they lose week 1, and even if they go 2-2 in that stretch, I think they have to believe that 2-2 is good enough where Tom Brady can come back, be very, 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 very angry, and play well enough during the season that they can get double-digit wins fairly easily. So I think they look at it as this is obviously not a great scenario for us, but all things considered, we get to give Jimmy Garoppolo a 4-game trial to see how he looks, maybe drum up interest from other teams, and we can probably go 2-2 in that stretch, and then get Tom Brady back, and he's going to come back with the fire of a 1,000 burning bouncy house.
And he's coming back against the Browns, so as long as he shows up in the stadium, they're going to get a win. We're talking to Will Brinson.
they might let Jimmy G go a 5th game if he plays well.
Yeah, right. CBS Sports NFL writer Will Brinson with us here on Tiki and Tierney.
I love the 1,000 burning bouncy houses. Now, a bouncy house that could fall apart and implode. Hate to stay in the AFC East, but I will. Is down in Miami. Especially when you look at Ryan Tannehill's contract. The Dolphins have the option to opt out of this deal before he starts making $18 million a year. His cap hit jumps from $11 million to $20 million in 2017. How much pressure is on him? They've built this team to help him grow. You talk about Adam Gase. You have Jarvis Landry there, Devontae Parker, the first-round draft pick second-round draft, whatever he was, draft pick from last year, who had some injuries. But all of the talent seems to be pointing to Ryan Tannehill needing to have the year. Otherwise, could he be elsewhere?
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible. The issue is, and this is why, not to go off, this is not trying to go off on a separate tangent here, but the issue with quarterback contracts is so different from regular contracts when we talk about guaranteed money, because you can't cut a quarterback. If you cut, Ryan Tannehill might be an average quarterback, but the option behind, the below or the replacement option for an average quarterback is such a steep drop off. Best case, you go out and sign Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's only had success with Chan Gailey, but to regress back to where I was, back to the question, I would say that Adam Gase was very careful his first time looking for head coaching jobs, and then he eventually selected Miami. I think that he has to believe in Ryan Tannehill and believe he can get the most out of him. But yeah, this is a year where Ryan Tannehill needs to take a step. He needs to be in Adam Gase's offense to do the things that we've seen from quarterbacks in that offense, in the various offenses that he's constructed. Peyton Manning, a little bit easier to do it. Tim Tebow, a little bit less easy, and had success with a lot of different guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Tannehill, made a bit of a leap this year. The one thing about Miami that concerns me is they continually make splashy headlines in the offseason, and I understand you can't pay Olivia Vernon, $400 million, but at the same time, to see him and Lamar Miller two guys that were, highly drafted by the Dolphins, are, I think, above average talents at their respective positions, and then you let them walk in the prime of their careers. It doesn't say a lot about drafting and developing down there, and to me, that's a big red flag, especially if you're replacing them. You hear rumors of Arian Foster down there, Mario Williams signed. You replace those guys, that young talent, that young emerging talent, with older veterans and big name older veterans. That's a bit of a red flag.
Will, enjoy what remains the rest of the summer here with the kiddos. We'll be talking throughout the season. Good job, buddy. Appreciate it.
Don't burn the bouncy house.
I'll try not to set everything on fire. Have a good one, guys.
There you go. Will Brinson, CBS Sports NFL writer.